After looking at Yelp, I got really pissed off that people talk smack about the way I feed my family without even knowing me or ever being at my shop. Or they're just, the classic example of I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. I mean, I explain things to people and they act like they understand. Then they leave and they think I was trying to get over on them. Well, let me explain something. I've been in this business for 30 years. I've been in my own business for 20 years. I've been in this building for 15. And I built this place from the ground up by being honest and straightforward. 18 lists, 2 locations, and we do the right thing. With that being said, this is the deal. A customer walks in that car with a vehicle and they get a form. They fill out a form. They fill out the form. It's a pretty basic, cut and dry form that I made up myself, and it gets to the point. So they fill all the little odds and ends, they sign it, they put their complaints here, and then my guy gets the car on his lift and he writes up everything he finds, and he does it in great detail. For instance, we put stored code, that's why we're writing this up. We put brake rotors are rusty, that's why that line is there. We put that this is recommended, doesn't mean it's super necessary. We put an alignment here along with the suspension work. So there's no loose ends. Everything is set up, everything is organized, and everything is transparent. We're super honest and super transparent, and I'd like everybody to know that. So after these forms are filled out, and I look over the form, this form. I make sure everything he wrote is accurate. I might change things, or I might just take note of things when I'm talking to a customer. My guy here gets it at his desk, and he takes and he makes a bill out of it, an estimate, with, again, footnotes. Now, first-time customer, good guy. I use a yellow highlighter for the complaints he came in for and what is most urgent. I usually go with a pink highlighter for secondary items and maybe a blue highlighter for servicing. Now, I also soften the numbers. I try to do the right thing with people because these cars are ridiculously expensive to repair. I don't make them. I don't break them. I just fix them. So I like to try to help people out. So there's no mistake about how we do our business. Now, the vehicle comes in the shop on a lift. First of all, look at what the shop looks like. I mean, there's a lot nicer out there, but for an independent guy, I think I did a hell of a nice job in building this place up from the empty warehouse it was when I first moved into it. So what we have is factory diagnostic tooling over there to diagnose the cars properly. We have every tool you can imagine. We have a machine shop in-house, for Christ's sake, along with a tool room and engine room in the back. So I don't know too many auto repair shops that have, mills, lathes, surface grinders. Yeah, I got a problem with collecting stuff. So, like for instance, that old convertible in there needed some screws. Guy was told they were $60 a piece and it takes 6 months to get. Don't mind the dumping ground. This is my back storage area. But we whittled the screws up, and it took us 2 hours. So we charged the guy $200 for all of his screws, and we got them right away. So anyway, the car comes in on a lift, and it gets checked thoroughly. I mean, every little detail of the car. Guy writes it up. I check the write-up. I adjust it. I give it to my man. He makes an estimate. Then we explain it to the customer. We go ahead and we explain to the customer. Now look, let's look at another thing. How does a guy with a mouth like mine in a neighborhood like this have 18 lifts in 2 locations in this town? How is he here for 15 straight years doing work? He must be doing something right. And you know what it is? It's getting to the meat on the bone. It's getting to the necessities of the customer and spending their money on their cars where it's most expeditious and gets the job done the best. And what pisses me off is I go on Yelp, and sometimes I'll get a customer to a car like this that costs more than some people's houses, and they'll complain about the price of an oil change or something. Not to say this guy does, but I do get that. And that's the end of the business I can't deal with. But at the end of the day, there is no shop I know of who is as efficient or who is as articulate or honest or straightforward or on the money as we are here. And to see crap on Yelp where idiots are bashing my business who've never set foot in the place pisses me off. So this is just a little video to let people know how we do business. Your car is my concern. I'm sorry, but you are not. Your car comes in, you drop it off. You fill out the form. We mark the scratches and the dents. Plus, we have 2 HD cameras up there to verify that the dents and scratches were there upon the vehicle getting pulled in the building. Vehicle then goes on a lift and then gets written up. Then I go over that write-up to make sure it's accurate. Then Ashton takes it and he puts it into an estimate like this, which I double check to make sure that's accurate. Then I use a highlighter to break it down into 3 groups. And another thing I do, if there's overlappage labor, I combined it. If there's 2 jobs in the same area with 2 separate labor times, I figure out what it will cost me to do both, and that's what you pay. You don't pay separate labor charges. I know some shops that do that. That's their business. It's not mine. Now, I'm not picking on any of the shops, and the way they do business is fine. That's their business. It's how they do things. I'm just talking about the way I do things here. And, you know, how I get pissed off when I read Yelp reviews that are unrealistic. You know, these are 2 of my best signs. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. There's a lady with an Audi on Yelp who came into my shop. We diagnosed a broken valve spring, which is hard enough to find. We told her that we could take the engine apart and we could do it the right way and check everything thoroughly to make sure there's no piston to valve damage, and it would be $5,000. I said, or what we could do is not guarantee that the stuff is damaged. Change the valve spring from the top, and that would have been $1,200. Well, she went on Yelp and wrote a review on me, bastardizing me, telling me I'm dishonest, telling the world I'm dishonest. And it pisses me off. And I went over and above the call of duty on her vehicle. I did what's right and what was necessary, and she yanked it out of here and brought it somewhere else. Now, she apparently brought it to a dealership because that's the only one I know locally capable to do that kind of work. And they probably charged her $3,000 to change the valve spring and got lucky with what the hell was wrong, you know, with the car as far as the piston to valve clearance went. And again, I apologize for this disarray. I'm going to get on this today, and I'm going to clean this area up. A little ridiculous. But again, you know, we have everything here. Everything to get your car right, tight, and out of trouble a reasonable way. And unfortunately, people aren't reasonable, especially with cars like this. Sometimes they are a little unreasonable. But, you know, I do have to say, 95% of my customers are great people, understanding, and they appreciate me. Whereas the 5% who I can't stand, who I don't want here to begin with, are the ones who go online, who talk smack. And it's like that with any business, I guess. I just cannot believe that these idiots have a voice and they hide behind a keyboard and they can talk like they do and say what they say about a guy who does business this accurately, who does business this honestly. Yep. Some good times at the racetrack. Anyway, enough of my nonsense and BS. I appreciate anybody who's watching this video and understanding it for what it's worth, but you know, I don't know anybody who fixes European autos in a neighborhood like this that has a shop with 15 lifts, 2 shops, one around the corner there that's essentially used for storage at this time. But regardless, you know, I didn't get like this overnight, and I didn't get like this robbing and cheating people. It's one thing I don't do. I have too much pride. I sleep well at night. And apparently, there are some people out there who are either ignorant or sadistic, who feel it's their job to try to take food out of the mouths of my kids. And it's a shame that they have that ability. It really is. Because, again, I pride myself on doing business the way I do it, which is super accurate and super on the money. And I appreciate everybody watching this nonsense.